Hello, hello, hello. It is 6:08 p.m., Friday, May 14th, and I'm all by my lonesome. I'm all by my lonesome, but I'm putting a call out. Unfortunately, frankly speaking, is preempted today. It is preempted for a reason that I cannot disclose, but I wanted to pop in and say hello. I was trying to plan for our next big uh, announcement and some cool stuff that's been going on, and at this point, it hasn't happened yet. So, so here I sit, all by my lonesome. I was actually trying to figure out a camera here that's supposed to be working that is now not working, and I don't know why. There it is. Now it's working. Aha. Aha. It must not like. There we go. Here I am, solo live stream, but I'm putting a call out right at this very moment. If you happen to be watching and you would like to join me for a chat live on Speaking of Happy, I would absolutely love for you to join me. So I am streaming live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you happen to be watching on one of those platforms, you are more than welcome to shoot me a message, and I will send you a link where you can join me and chat with me. Avalisa, unfortunately, was unavailable for this episode of Frankly Speaking, so we are preempting Frankly Speaking for a impromptu episode of Speaking of Happy, which was a podcast that I created. It was actually what started me down this whole route of sharing content and creating content and doing my thing. And so what I have decided to do today is to invite you, if you are someone who has watched the show and you like what you see and you would like to be a part of a conversation with me today. Now it's going to be live. So if you're not camera ready or you're uncomfortable with how you appear at the moment, then I wouldn't message me. But if you are camera ready and you would like to join me on this live stream right now, you could actually do that. So right now, I do not see that we have any viewers, and that's totally fine. So for those of you who are interested, if you're watching along right now, I am here and I would love for you to join me. And I just need to shoot you a little link where you can actually be part of the show. So if you're out there and want to come and have a conversation with me right now, live, you can do that. Hey, Charlie, how are you doing? I see you there in the chat. I got Charlie over here. Charlie, it looks like you're on YouTube, watching on YouTube. Do you want to join me for a chat here, Charlie? If you do, let me know. And I will shoot you over a link and you can join in. So, Charlie, you got any questions for me today? Is this your first time watching the live stream, or have you watched one of our other shows on Frankly Speaking? Too shy. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Charlie. So I see here doing great. I'm not doing too bad myself, Charlie. And it's all right to be shy. We all have our moments, right? We all have our moments, but I do appreciate that you're enjoying the content. What so far have you enjoyed the most about watching some of the content that we've shared on Speaking of Happy? What parts of the show, frankly speaking, are you enjoying? I personally enjoy a lot of the commentary that happens between the folks that we have on the show as guests. I do enjoy that quite a bit. And I know it looks kind of silly with me and my headset on, but I am listening to I'm listening to myself on some of these other platforms. So let me know. What do you want to hear? What do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to share about? I'm going to actually take my headphones off and I'm just going to be here and be me. Looks like we have 3 viewers on Facebook. If you are on Facebook right now and you feel like you want to join me in a conversation, I would love to talk to you. So shoot me a message on Facebook and I will send you a link where you can join me here on StreamYard and we can converse together. And no topic is off base. No questions. I'm here to answer questions. We unfortunately have to preempt, frankly speaking. Avalisa had a prior engagement this evening and needed to be there for that, which is totally fine. You know what? We roll with the punches here. That's what we do. We roll with the punches. So I'm just here by myself today and would love to have a conversation with someone if you're out there, especially if you are someone who identifies as transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming, or two-spirit. I would love to converse with you. And it's an easy thing. I can shoot you a link to the chat or where I'm at here in StreamYard. I can shoot you a link and you can join me. Alex, thank you so much. So Alex did send a question. I appreciate this. I was wondering if you could talk about your transition, how it came to be and how it's going now, if I'm up for it. Well, Alex, thank you very much for asking that question. And, I'll tell you what, I have had a number of coming outs in my life, actually 3 to be exact. I didn't come out as transgender until 2015. And I did that. Sometimes I really get uncomfortable now in sharing this part of the story, but not because of myself. What I get uncomfortable about is I get uncomfortable about the person that I actually finally related to enough that I don't know, stirred something in me that said, I am going to do this. Because I had met a number of transgender folks prior to my coming out as trans. And it wasn't until I watched the 2020 interview with the unfortunate Caitlyn Jenner, the very first interview that she did, that there were a number of things that she said that resonated with me. And that's when I was like, I was so moved emotionally and like it just stirred me so deeply because there were things that I could actually map onto my own experience in life. The fact that Caitlyn talked about becoming uber masculine to like kind of throw people off the scent that maybe there was something else going on with her. And I became uber feminine. As a matter of fact, I had the name Femme Girl kind of christened upon me by some of my friends because I really came across as very ultra feminine. I share a lot about my former part of my life that I should have received an Oscar, an Academy Award nomination at least for my performance as my former self, because I was very ultra feminine, learned how to put on makeup to the nines. I was probably one of the most beautiful drag queens you've ever met. And I say that kind of jokingly because it just is my journey. But I think that, after advocating for the community for my whole life, for a good chunk of my life. And then coming out as trans in 2015, I I kind of had blinders on a little bit, I think. And this is where those blinders were actually stripped off. And I really had to start to face what was really going on, not just within our community, but in the outside world, when it relates to gender and gender identity and gender expression. So initially, after I finally said it out loud and I started to share with people, like, this is who I really am, I was initially incredibly excited. I felt alive. I felt, so wholly and completely authentic. It was like the last layer of big secret that I was holding had been revealed. And so I felt a sense of freedom that I hadn't felt at all in my life. And um, so that part of it was exciting. And, I found a lot of connections within the community, folks that I had known who were really incredible about giving me some, recommendations for the best route to take. I did a lot of Google searching myself about, what do I need to do? I had in mind pretty much immediately what I wanted to do physically. And I knew that there were certain things that I needed to change that I was uncomfortable with. I didn't really relate to gender dysphoria as a lot of people talk about gender dysphoria until after I had my top surgery. And then it became really apparent to me how much I had um, made myself, kind of forced myself to just be comfortable in my skin when I was really incredibly uncomfortable. Um, and so, initially it was great. Initially, I felt alive, excited, renewed. I mean, I was gobbling up all kinds of media in regard to transgender folks, reading books, watching documentaries. Like, I needed all of this, like, I wanted all of this information. I think partially because, number one, I wanted to do the right thing for myself. But number two, I wanted to do the right thing as it applied to sharing with people in my community about myself, and also being respectful of other folks who are transgender, non-binary, and gender nonconforming. This is one of the conversations that Avalisa and I have had a lot in regard to, she is very binary female. Like, she is very much the extreme. That is who she is. That is how she is. That is what she wants. And that is absolutely right for her. But she also understands that non-binary people are also valid. Folks who are, born and assigned female and are choosing to not choosing, but I guess I say choosing as in I'm going to choose to accept who I am. That's the only choice. It's not about saying that I've now chosen a gender, because I think for myself, externally, my expression is more male, and intrinsically, I'm both and. And that was one of the things that Avalisa and we actually talk about a lot. And that's what sparked the idea of having Frankly Speaking. Because we both talked about, like, just the confusion and, like, the frustrations. And even if you're trying to get information from folks and you're not, you're honestly not wanting to be harmful or hurt them, but it can come across wrong, right? It can come across in a way where it's like, attention, intention, and impact, and all those things kind of get confused and conflated and difficult to parse out. So anyway, initially my transition was beautiful. I felt really renewed and alive. There were some things, unfortunately, that happened as a result. A 10-year relationship ended up ending, but not because of my being transgender. As a matter of fact, that relationship ended because I realized that I was no longer in love with the person that I was with. So it didn't have anything to do with them or my transition. I finally had gotten to the point where I just needed to be completely authentic about a lot of things in my life. I could have spent the rest of my life with that person, but I just knew that it wasn't fair to them, right? And so initially, I just was kind of just going through. I mean, I wrote a timeline out for how my transition was going to go. I got a therapist. I'm going to check off all, I'm going to cross all my T's and dot all my I's and get all the information together and do what I need to do to make this transition happen and be comfortable in my own skin. And isn't this great? And I was so excited. But then you go out into the world and the world's like, nope, sorry. Nice try. Thanks for playing. and, and yeah, there were a lot of obstacles placed in my path, a lot of obstacles. Coming out at work was not easy. The transition in the workplace, not easy. Had me at some points facing a lot of mental health stuff that came up for me. And it's kind of interesting because I say now that like the folks that actually need to be seeing therapists are not necessarily those of us who are transgender, non-binary, gender nonconforming, or gender diverse, or it's the folks it's the folks that don't get it are the ones that actually I think need some help. So so there's been some evolution. There's been some evolution in regard to how I identify myself. Like I used to say that I'm a boy born in a girl's body. Well, that's not necessarily true. I am both and I happen to have body parts that are normally associated with people who are female or women or girls, right? But again, those are just body parts. We can't collapse the two. And we've done that over time. And I had to I say now I have to decolonize myself around gender and gender identity and gender expression, sexuality, sexual orientation, all of those things. I had to kind of decolonize myself, right? And but I would say now I've gotten to a point where I feel very balanced in regard to myself and my transition. And I'm okay right here, right now in my own skin. And I would say that whether a camera was rolling or not. So, Alex, thanks for the question. I know that's probably a very long answer. There's a whole bunch more to say about how I feel in regard to my transition and my life and what's going on in the world. Like, for example, brought up Caitlyn Jenner, like the fact that she's running for governor and she is completely out of touch with, here she goes out and plays golf with women, and she should because she's a woman, right? But she doesn't think that trans boys and girls and kiddos and non-binary folks should be playing sports. Like trans girls shouldn't be playing sports with other girls. Like, what is that, Caitlyn? That's just mind-boggling. You are so welcome, Alex. Thanks so much. A lot of those parts here, I'll put this up here. So Alex's response, thank you so much. A lot of those parts I related to, and it was very helpful. Proud of you and your journey. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you have any other questions, again, feel free to ask. I can see all your questions in the chat. If you happen to be somebody who wants to join me and have a conversation and have your face be shown, you can also do that. I can shoot you a little link. So just shoot me a request on Facebook and I can make that happen rather quickly. But I decided instead of doing no show at all, that I would come on and just kind of have a chat with y'all and just, talk to you about what's going on in my life and answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to shoot them over. I can see questions if you post questions on YouTube. I can see questions if you post them on Facebook. I'm happy to answer those questions. So please feel free to shoot them off to me and I will answer. But in the meantime, you know what I am going to talk about? I'm going to talk about the fact that there are a multitude. Actually, I'm going to say this. What I'm going to say is I'm going to pull up. There is a young trans girl who, Okay, there we go. Who I follow on Instagram. And I have known this person now for quite some time, this young person, and met them because their story became kind of a national story. Their mother who was evangelical Christian. I think it was evangelical Christian, but very religious, living down in Texas. They still live down in Texas. And Kai actually just recently spoke to the legislature in the state and shared about how she feels about some of the legislation that was trying to be passed to prevent trans girls from playing sports with cis girls. Anyway, she posted this just 3 hours ago on her Instagram. If you're not following her, you should go follow her. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see what I'm looking at. And this is what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at Kai's comment here on Instagram, which I think is just really brilliant. State governments should not be allowed to continue to terrorize its LGBTQ plus citizens every legislative session. Pass the Equality Act. I mean, that is like big time applause, big time mic drop. Kai shares some really incredible things, and she's so young. She's so young. And like I said, she spoke to the state legislature. I believe it's in Texas is where she's at. And like her speech went viral. I mean, she's just such an amazing kiddo. So if you're not following her, you should go follow her on here. I mean, she's got more than 10,000 followers, way more followers than I have. Which is fine. I mean, I don't care. It's not about the followers. I do most of this just to entertain myself sometimes. So it is what it is, right? So anyway, so again, she is spot on. Like I keep thinking to myself, this past legislative session, there were 130 anti-trans bills that were being pushed through or trying to be passed across all these different states, like 30 different states who were trying to get this legislation passed. And it just like infuriates me that this is happening and that this keeps happening. And it'll probably keep happening for as long as I'm living on this planet, which I think is really just sad. But for those of you who might just be joining us today, we were supposed to have an episode of Frankly Speaking. Unfortunately, that had to be preempted because Avalisa had a prior engagement that she had forgotten about. And so she is handling her business and I am handling Frankly Speaking. I was going to try to do a full episode of another show that I had, which is Speaking of Happy, which is how this was all born, was through Speaking of Happy. Used to be a podcast that I am now trying to convert to a show that I'm going to be live streaming every other week. So Frankly Speaking will happen. And then the following week will be Speaking of Happy. And what Speaking of Happy is going to cover is we are going to cover more things as they relate to, you know, what organizations offer supportive services to LGBTQ plus folks, but more specifically transgender, non-binary, and gender nonconforming folks. I'm hoping that this next week, part of the show, next Friday, is going to be the first episode of Speaking of Happy, which is going to be running in the same format that Frankly Speaking has been running in. And I'm hoping to have someone from the ACLU. There was a lawsuit filed in Iowa about some trans issues that are happening there. And so I'm hoping to speak to somebody from the ACLU of Iowa and have a conversation with them about the lawsuit and about what they're working on in Iowa. And then I hope to eventually have a conversation with ACLU Nebraska about some of the things that are happening within Nebraska. I was hoping to have them both on the same show, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. I'm also going to be speaking to just my everyday people that I love. Mr. Little Cat is going to be joining us. MLC is going to be joining us this next Friday, and I love them so much. Mr. is going to come on and talk with me. We are going to revive existence. And I don't know if y'all knew what existence was or If you didn't know what Existence was, I'm actually going to show you what it was. But it was a show that that I created and hosted, and it was like an all day, pretty good chunk of the day anyway, through a couple of local organizations, the Nebraska Urban Indian Health Coalition and NUIHC and SOMS, Soaring Over Meth and Suicide. I partnered with them and a number of local organizations, and I had this event called Existence. And Existence, I'm actually going to pull it up here in just a moment so that you can see what it is, was one of the first shows. And here, I'll add this to the stream. So here was Existence. This was Existence. Oh my gosh, 2019. Existence 2019. It was so much fun. These were our guests that we had. We had a number of different performances that were happening, and we had a couple of workshops. We had all these awesome sponsors who helped to make it possible, because each one of our performers were paid. We had DJ Crab Gucci spinning the hits for us, spinning our tunes. Our headliner was Lady Shug, and actually Lady Shug is going to join me here on an episode of Speaking of Happy coming up. But what we are going to hope to do in June is we are going to have a return of Existence, but it's going to be a live stream event. So I'm going to reach out to some of these performers who joined us and see if they would be willing to come on our event. This was Avalisa's incredible costume. I mean, look at that amazing costume that she had for that event. But I think I'm going to have them record some performances. If you would like to, this is Mr. Look at this. I love this. But if you would like to help make that possible, you can actually go to our Patreon page and become a sponsor on Patreon, or you can reach out to me if you want to become a sponsor. But what we basically did is we found sponsors for each of our performers, and I'm hoping to have a lot of our performers come back again. And like, look at this. Oh, I'm so excited. So we're hoping to revive that in June. That's going to be one of our episodes of Speaking of Happy, but it will be a live streamed event right here on our channel. Oh, look at that. Very few people know that I actually took this picture of Avalisa. I love that. Love that picture. So I'm going to reach out to some of these folks who were sponsors for the show this last time and hope to bring back many of these performers. But like I said, if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, this is my amazing friend, Clyde, incredibly talented poet. So that's that. Anyway, Mr. Little Cat, this is Mr. Little Cat is going to join me next Friday, and we're going to have a conversation about Existence 2021, the virtual event. So you'll want to pay attention for that. But what we're trying to do is every other Friday, we're going to have either a Frankly Speaking episode or a Speaking of Happy episode. So every Friday at 6 p.m., you can find us here. Or at least find myself here. Avalisa is going to be doing Frankly Speaking with me on those Fridays. And like I said, tonight was actually supposed to be our 4th episode, but we had to push that out. So 2 weeks from tonight, you'll be able to tune in and watch Frankly Speaking. But next week will be the premiere episode of Speaking of Happy, the virtual event, where you can just tune in and watch some live performances. We'll have some conversation with some of the performers that will be on the show. I'm going to reach out to the Nebraska Urban Indian Health Coalition and SOMS. But Existence basically was the first ever show that was created, and all the performers were Black, Brown, or Indigenous. So that was really a very cool event. And Lady Shug and I have become incredibly close, good friends. And so we keep talking about how we should do the Existence Road Show. But that would take a lot to put all that together and get all those moving parts. It's a lot easier for me to handle this doing live stream events here on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. So anybody else that might still be out there, if you have a question, feel free to throw that in the chat, whether you are on Facebook or YouTube, and you're watching on any of those platforms, or Twitch. If you happen to find me on Twitch, I'm actually going to be here for about another 23 minutes. If you are feeling frisky and want to join me, you can certainly shoot me a message. If you shoot me a message on Facebook, I would be happy to send you a link. And by clicking that link, you could actually come on the show with me live right now. So come on. Go ahead. Be brave. Be brave. Or if you have a question, toss it into the chat. There was something else I wanted to share with y'all that I found recently that I thought was pretty cool. There's something else about some of the legislation that's going on across the world, across the US, and places where you can find more information and kind of stay up to date on some of those things. If I can find it, I posted it on my Facebook page. And now, of course, I can't find it. Who wants to join me, though? Come on. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here is, I'll share this on here so you can see it. But again, so this was just May 11th. Chris Mosier, if you don't know who Chris Mosier is, he was one of the first athletes to actually compete at the Olympic level who is transgender. And what Chris has done, which is super cool, is has a website where they are sharing about some of this legislation that's happening across the US. So transathlete.com is Chris's page. But you can go in here and there's a lot of really great resources available. There's ways that you can take action in some of these states that are pushing the most of this legislation. So as of May 11th, the following states have laws that would prevent trans youth from participating in sports with their peers: Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Mississippi, Montana, South Dakota, Tennessee, West Virginia. Each of the states above made laws applying to K through 12 participation. However, the following state laws apply to college student athletes as well: Arkansas, Idaho, Mississippi, and West Virginia. So like really super sad that that is going on, but it's going on. And I think about like, you know, we've had these GOP leaders claiming that the LGBT community had some sort of an agenda. And frankly, I think their agenda is far worse than any of my agendas. My agendas today included getting out of bed, eating some breakfast, working on a couple of videos for work, communicating with my partner, checking the mail. Like my agenda is really full of stuff that nobody would really care about on an average day. So I just think it's sad. But anyway, there's ways that you can take action. There's this really great resource around terminology. So if you're curious about some terminology, it'd be really cool for you to go to Chris's site and give him the follows and whatnot. He's got policies as they relate to these different areas: college policies, K through 12, recreation leagues. Like, I didn't even check on that, but like recreational leagues that are trying to pass policies. Anyway, you know, there's a whole bunch of different, well, here's some resources for recreation leagues that are actually open and affirming. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, this happens like across the spectrum of different things. I mean, I have talked to my friends who are trans who are also performers in the drag community, and some of the some of the ways in which they prevent drag performers from being involved, and some of the rules and regulations that they have there are just, they're just not fair. I know that there have been many of these bigger drag shows and drag crowns and drag titles that have changed over time, but just the fact that they have them still in some places is just really sad. So yeah, like I can sit here and talk to myself for the rest of the night. Any other questions? Anybody else listening in have a burning question you want to ask me before the show ends today? We got about, 17 minutes. Got 17 minutes left, and then I need to go and do something out in the world. Well, actually, that's not true. I don't really get out in the world very much. I still keep myself pretty isolated, I think, for the most part. So if there's anybody else out there watching, Charlie, do you have any other questions you want to ask, or anything else I can share? Who else is watching? I'd love to hear. I'd love to see who else is watching if I'm just here by myself. I think right now on Facebook, I have one viewer. Who are you? Let yourself be known. It's okay. Oh, Emmy, you want to come on and talk to me? We got 15 minutes left. I can shoot you a link. You know how it works. Do you want to come and have a chat with me? Are you camera ready? All right, I'm going to shoot you a link. Emmy's going to join me. All right, hold on just a second. I'm going to go here. Oh, why did it do that? All right. Okay, you have a link in your inbox. Come join me. And now I will have to put my headset back on, because if Emmy's joining me, and I have to switch to my occupational glasses, my occupational lenses. These are so that I can see these monitors in front of me. There's Emmy. Woohoo!
Woo!
Hello, friend.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I had to preempt, frankly speaking, because Avalisa had a prior engagement.
Oh no!
So here I am by my lonesome, but it's okay. We had a couple of audience questions, but we could do a impromptu, episode of Frankly Speaking. We've got about 15 minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to? I love that shirt. Is that protect trans kids? Yes, of course it is. And you literally have a pink and teal and white blanket behind you?
Yes.
Where did you get that?
I hate to say it, but I once again made Jeff Bezos richer.
So you found it online. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's cute though. Hold it up. I want to see it.
Please hold. Here it is.
Oh, that is so cute. Someone needs to buy me one of those.
You may find one headed your way then.
Aw, you don't have to buy me one.
Maybe I was going to say, I even found a hammock at NFM in the same exact color scheme, so I had to.
Oh my gosh. You and all of your whole front lawn is trans.
As it should be, and you'll enjoy this part too.
Yeah.
I finally got the approval to order T-shirts to wear on Fridays at the office.
Hey.
That have the logo on there, and just out of complete and total coincidence, what did the boss end up deciding on for the colors?
Pink and blue.
Darn right.
And white. Pink, blue, and white.
No white.
Well,
interestingly enough,
Oh,
because we only have two different colors, so we'll like have the option to switch back and forth. But it was that light blue and a nice light pink.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we've had a few people pop in and out with questions, but I think for the most part, I have been here on my own, just talking to myself.
It happened.
Yeah. Well, I can talk to myself.
Well, as one should be able to. One should be able to enjoy their own company if you want
Yes.
other people to enjoy your company as well.
Well, that's true. I do have ever since I was young though, I've always been able to entertain myself to a certain degree. And it's done well, especially in pandemic times, to be able to entertain oneself.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Especially with all the stuff that's going on, it's also nice to be able to entertain oneself without having to resort to the ills of social media. So
Right. I will tell you that one of the things that I have done most recently, and part of it was just because I've gotten so busy with work assignments, like things are starting to kind of ramp up again. It's kind of the time of the year that happens, though. Things kind of always ramp up around this time. Um, it's just that my social media, I am limiting to a great deal, like a lot. And I'm limiting social media not necessarily even on purpose or for any specific reason. It was just like, there are so many other things that I want to do and that I need to do that like wasting my time scrolling and scrolling and scrolling just doesn't, it's just not doing it for me anymore.
yeah, don't do
So,
scrolling. We don't need all that.
yeah. All right. Well, it looks like we have two people joining us here on the live stream. For those of you who just joined us, we had to preempt Frankly Speaking because Avalisa had a prior engagement, which is totally fine. We appreciate that Avalisa is a popular person and she has a life and and things to do. And so basically what my intention was is I'm reviving the show that kind of started it all. For those of you who have been around for a while, you know that I created a podcast that I called Speaking of Happy. And I am reviving that and going to do it as a show, just like Frankly Speaking. And it's going to happen every other Friday. So every Friday at 6 o'clock, you'll be able to see something related on the channel to one of these two things. So feel free to mark your calendar and make it a 6 p.m. dinner time event. Do you want to see the show graphics that I created so far?
Let's go ahead and pop those on. Why not?
Okay, I got to pull it up. Hold on just a second here. I got to get into the right thing though. It was this, and then it's supposed to be right here. I'll show you. I created graphics for what was going to be our show, and then it ended up not being, which is totally fine. I'm not really bothered by that. Where did it go? Well, here, I'll just show one of these. All right, hold on just a second. Video file. Oh, it does it that way? Okay. How was your day today?
You know, it was a rather interesting day. I had to start out with the good old transitioning stuff, laser, which was overdue, which is always a challenge when you're on estrogen, which is like one of those things that they never warn you about, which is as your
Right.
skin gets thinner, and the hair doesn't quite do the same on your face. Ouch. So it definitely stings quite a darn bit. Totally spaced out taking my Tylenol this morning. Totally spaced out doing my numbing cream as well. So that was the double whammy of suckage.
Ouch.
But at least I managed to make up for it. because I ended up going to a new massage therapist today who turned out to be trans themselves.
Oh, nice. Hey, well, who is this person?
It is Chris Whitmarsh down in Bellevue.
Okay, well,
Um,
awesome.
so he was phenomenal. And I ended up doing like the whole 90-minute CBD massage while
Nice.
having long-winded rants about the cis white gay community. So
Well, there you go. What a better way to relax. Maybe we'll have to have an episode of Frankly Speaking on that as well. Okay, so here I'm going to play this graphic, see what you think. Ready? Well, this was going to be my guest. Mister's coming on a different show, as was Rich, but what do you think?
I absolutely loved it.
Do you love it?
Incidentally, it's like I love the fact that there's like progress red flags all over the place because that was one of the topics that actually came up while we were ranting about that because apparently the cis white gays are really pissed off about that.
Oh, yeah.
Because this massage therapist who I went to is very open about being a trans gay man.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that like they were all getting up in arms about, well, why do I have to keep on adding to the flag? Wasn't it already like for everybody? And all that nonsense. So I love the fact that, you know what, you're sticking it to them.
That's right. Here, I'm going to share another one. That music makes me so happy. What do you think of that? Cute, huh?
It is absolutely adorable. And if it makes you happy, well, what's the name of the show again?
Speaking of happy,
There you go.
I mean, it makes sense all the way around, right? It just makes sense all the way around. It makes sense to me. Um, I do have previous episodes if folks are interested in watching, and I'll just go ahead and put this. If you go to my website, and I think, let me see if this is right before I put it in here because I hate to place the wrong thing. This should take you. Now, these are like super old episodes. And so they like these are from 2009, really. Oh no, what happened? That's weird. Okay, here we go. No, actually, that is not right. What the heck? All right. Well, you got to kind of scroll way down. I'm going to go and pull up. I know that these episodes actually still live out on my Podomatic station. Let's see here. Where is it? Speaking of happy on Podomatic. Yeah, there's a whole, you can listen to the whole series. Well, first of all, you can go to my website. This is, it says radio show is the category, but unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily pull up the actual radio show itself. You have to scroll down and find the different episodes. But here is, here's where you can actually find the podcasts that have aired. And so, you know, I did an interview with Jocelyn Music. Do you know who Jocelyn is? So I did an interview with Jocelyn back on March 17th of 2016. And so it's so amazing to like see where she's come. like how far she's come in her career from when I met her back then and talked to her. I did an interview with Ariel O'Donnell, which is out there, with Brody Ray Runge, who is a trans man who actually is from Nebraska, but now lives, I think, down in Nashville. So it's just kind of fun, places, different things that I've done. But, and actually, I'm going to share my screen again because I'm going to play one of these little openers. Where is it? Why is it doing that? Share screen. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here is my fun little page that I created for my Speaking of Happy podcast from like years gone by. But like, so here, I just love that music. Doesn't it make you want to dance?
It sure does. It's a nice little jingle. It gets the party started before we have all the wonderful people who come on the show.
Can you hear this?
I am unable to on this end.
Oh, shoot. Oh my God. I just listened to that and it just makes my heart full. I'm such a goof. But yeah, that's why I say, like, I can totally entertain myself. Like, I entertain myself creating those graphics for the new show. I've entertained myself creating graphics for this show. Used to spend a lot of time. That was the thing when I was really young. I really spent a lot of time by myself. Just wasn't it's just not something that I'm not, I'm used to it.
Sure. Something that a lot of us have had to kind of resort to, which is one of those things that I always make space for with a lot of my trans clients is the fact that we don't have a whole lot of connections in the community out of safety, right? A lot of the times we have to build that up over a long period of time. And for a lot of us, the only option kind of ends up being like the internet or nothing at all, right? So
yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? It is 7 p.m. It is 7 p.m. on the dot. We're going to go out with another one of these little, let's see what this one is. I hope the audience can hear this.
I can hear it now on my end. So.
Oh, that was the same one. Well, that is not what the first episode's going to be, but that's Pawtucket.
Oh, cutie.
I just think that those graphics turned out great.
They did.
All right. All right, folks, if you happen to still be watching, it does look like we have maybe 3 viewers with us. That's awesome. Thank you all for being here today. I apologize that we had to preempt Frankly Speaking, but I promise 2 weeks from now, Frankly Speaking will be back. But next Friday will be the very first, the premiere episode of Speaking of Happy with myself as the host. And I am going to have some interesting folks on talking about a bunch of different things that are going to be happening. Like I said earlier today here in this nice hour that we've had, we're going to talk about Existence 2021, which is going to be live streamed right here. It's going to be one of our episodes in June. And we're going to bring back some of the performers that joined us at Existence 2019. So you'll want to be around and make sure you mark your calendars for that. It's for Pride Month. That's what we're going to be doing. But Emmy, thank you so much for joining in and helping me fill this last 15 minutes of time. As always, appreciate and love having conversation with you. So
anytime.
All right. Well, you have a good night. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining us. We'll see you. We are going to say good night.